The rain hammered against the windows of the penthouse office as Marco Moretti stared at the financial reports spread across his desk. According to every newspaper in New York, every business analyst and every rival family in the city, the Moretti empire was collapsing. Stocks had crashed, properties were being sold, accounts were frozen. Luxury cars disappeared from the garage. Even the media had begun calling it the biggest downfall in mafia history. Exactly as Marco intended, it was all fake. Every last dollar was hidden behind layers of shell companies and secret accounts. The bankruptcy was nothing more than a test for one person, his fiancée, Vanessa Romano. For 3 years, she had stood beside him, smiling for cameras and attending galas on his arm. Shaiwai claimed she loved him, claimed she wanted a future together, claimed she would stay with him through anything. Marco wanted to know if any of it was true, so he burned his public image to the ground and waited. The answer came faster than expected. 3 days after the bankruptcy announcement, Vanessa stormed into his office. "You lied to me." Marco looked up calmly. "About what?" "The money." Her voice trembled with rage. "The empire, the houses, the investments, everything." Marco folded his hands. "Is that what matters?" Vanessa laughed bitterly. "You think I signed up to become the wife of a broke criminal?" The room went silent. For a moment, Marco simply watched her, every expression, every movement, every crack in the mask. Then he nodded. "I understand." Vanessa blinked. "That's it?" "What else should I say?" "You should fight for me." Marco stood. "No, Vanessa. If you loved me, you wouldn't be asking about money." Her face turned pale. Within an hour, she was gone. The engagement ring remained on his desk. 3 years ended in 60 minutes. Marco felt nothing. Or, at least he thought he felt nothing, until he noticed the woman standing quietly near the doorway. A maid, one he had seen countless times but never really looked at. Olivia Bennett, 30 years old, heavy-set, round cheeks, soft features, plain black uniform, hair always tied, back invisible. The kind of person wealthy people never noticed. She had worked at the mansion for almost 4 years. Cleaning rooms, preparing meals, managing household staff, never complaining, never demanding attention. She was simply there, like wallpaper. There, eyes met briefly. Olivia lowered her gaze immediately. "Sorry, sir. I was cleaning the hallway." Marco nodded. Then she surprised him. "You deserve better." He frowned. "What?" She hesitated, then quietly said, "A woman who only loves money never loved the..." Marco stared. Nobody spoke to him that way. Nobody. Yet somehow, her words felt more honest than anything he'd heard in years. Before he could answer, she disappeared down the hallway, and for some reason he couldn't stop thinking about her. 2 weeks later, strange things started happening. Money vanished. Not large amounts, small amounts, tiny transfers. $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. Amounts most people would never notice, but Marco noticed everything. His empire had been built on numbers. Numbers never lied. Someone was stealing. The question was who. His accountants investigated. His security chief investigated. Nobody found anything. Then one evening, Marco received an unexpected knock. Olivia stood outside his office. She looked nervous, almost frightened. "Sir, can I tell you something?" Marco leaned back. "Go ahead." She swallowed. "I think someone is using the staff accounts." His eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" "I noticed unusual deposits." "You understand banking records?" A faint blush appeared on her face. "A little." Marco immediately knew she was lying. Nobody said "a little." While identifying financial fraud, he gestured toward a chair. "Sit." Olivia looked shocked. "Sir?" "Sit." Slowly she obeyed. Marco slid several documents across the desk. "Explain." For the next 30 minutes she examined the records, then she pointed to a series of transactions. There, his security chief had missed them. His accountants had missed them. The FBI would have missed them. Olivia found them in minutes. Marco stared at her. "Who taught you this?" "Silence, Olivia." She looked away. "My father, what did he do?" "He was an accountant." "That's not the whole story." "No, it isn't." The room became very quiet. Finally, she whispered, "My father worked for the Moretti family 20 years ago." Marco froze. That got his attention. "What happened to him?" Olivia's eyes darkened. "He disappeared." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Marco knew exactly what that usually meant. Someone had been killed. Someone powerful had wanted them gone. The problem was he had never heard the name Bennett before, and Marco knew almost every secret in his family's history. Almost. A feeling settled in his stomach. Something wasn't right. Very, very wrong, because Olivia wasn't just helping him find stolen money. She was looking for something, searching, waiting, as if she had spent years putting together pieces of a puzzle. And suddenly Marco realized something that made his pulse slow. The theft, the fake bankruptcy, Vanessa. Leaving, the strange transfers, Olivia's father. None of them was separate. Events, somehow they were connected, and whatever secret was buried beneath them, someone had killed to keep it hidden. Marco looked directly into Olivia's eyes. The first time he truly saw her, not the maid, not the employee, not the invisible woman walking through his mansion, but someone intelligent, someone brave, someone carrying years of pain, and someone dangerously close to uncovering the truth. "What exactly are you looking for, Olivia?" Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "The person who murdered my father, the E." Words hit the room like a gunshot, and neither of them realized that outside the office door, someone was listening. Someone who would kill to keep the secret buried. The person outside Marco's office remained perfectly still. One hand tightened around a silenced pistol hidden beneath a tailored jacket. Olivia Bennett had become a problem, and problems inside the Moretti world were usually solved with blood. The shadow moved away from the door without making a sound. Inside the office, neither Marco nor Olivia noticed. Their attention remained fixed on each other. "The person who murdered my father," Olivia repeated quietly. Marco studied her face. There was no hesitation, no deception. She genuinely believed someone connected to the Moretti organization had been responsible. "When did he disappear?" Marco asked. 20 years ago. "What was his name?" "Thomas Bennett." Marco searched his memory. Nothing? No recognition? No old file? No old associate? Nothing. Which was unusual. Marco remembered everything. Every betrayal, every alliance, every death. Yet the name meant absolutely nothing. That bothered him. A lot. "Why come to me now?" he asked. Olivia laughed bitterly. "Because I finally found something." "What?" She reached into her bag and removed a worn folder. The edges were damaged from years of handling. She placed it on the desk. Marco opened it. Inside were old financial statements, account ledgers, transfer records, photos, notes, hundreds of pages, years of investigation. His eyes narrowed. "How long have you been doing this?" 12 years. 12? She nodded. "I worked dozens of jobs to get close to people connected to the organization." Marco looked up, and becoming a maid here wasn't an accident. No, the honesty surprised him. She could have lied. She didn't. "I came here because I thought your family killed my father." "And now?" Olivia hesitated. "Now I'm not sure." Marco leaned back. For the first time, he understood just how extraordinary she was. Most people would have given up years ago. Most people would have accepted not knowing. Olivia had spent 12 years hunting the truth. Alone, invisible, ignored. His respect for her grew. Then she showed him the document that changed everything. A single transaction record, dated 20 years earlier. His expression darkened. because the signature on the document belonged to only one person: Marco's uncle, Antonio Moretti, a man who had supposedly died 15 years ago. The room fell silent. That was impossible. Antonio's death had been confirmed. His funeral had happened. His grave existed. Marco himself had attended. Yet the signature was genuine. Not forged, not copied. Real. A cold realization settled over him. Someone had manipulated history. Someone had hidden evidence. Someone had built an entire lie. And suddenly, Marco understood why money had been disappearing recently. The theft wasn't random. Someone was cleaning up old records, destroying loose ends, destroying evidence connected to Antonio, destroying evidence connected to Thomas Bennett, destroying evidence connected to whatever secret existed 20 years ago. Olivia watched his reaction carefully. "You believe me now?" "Yes." Her eyes widened slightly. That answer had surprised her. Most powerful men dismissed people like her, ignored them, laughed at them. Marco did none of those things. Instead, he stood. "We're going to finish this." "How?" "We start digging." "And if the truth hurts your family," Marco's jaw tightened, "then my family deserves it." For the first time since entering the office, Olivia smiled. A real smile. Small, soft, beautiful. Marco felt something strange happen inside his chest. Something dangerous. Because he realized he liked seeing her smile. Far more than he should. Over the next week, they worked together constantly. Days became nights. Nights became mornings. Records, archives, old accounts, dead businesses, forgotten transactions. Piece by piece, the truth emerged. And it was worse than either imagined. 20 years earlier, Antonio Moretti had secretly partnered with a rival crime syndicate. Together, they had stolen millions from the Moretti organization. Thomas Bennett had discovered the theft. He planned to expose everything. Before he could, Antonio ordered his murder. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what happened afterward. Antonio had faked his own death. The funeral, the grave, the records, all fabricated. Antonio Moretti was alive and had been hiding for 15 years. Olivia stared at the final piece of evidence. Tears filled her eyes. All this time. Marco remained silent. She wasn't crying because of revenge. She was crying because she finally knew. The uncertainty was over. The question that had haunted her for 20 years finally had an answer. Her father hadn't abandoned her. He hadn't disappeared voluntarily. He had been murdered. Marco moved closer. Without thinking, he placed a hand on her shoulder. Olivia looked up. Their eyes met. Neither spoke, neither moved. Something shifted between them. Something neither could ignore anymore. Then Marco's phone rang. The moment shattered instantly. He answered. His expression darkened. What happened? A pause. Then another. Marco's face turned to stone. "I'm coming." He ended the call. Olivia felt her stomach tighten. "What is it?" Marco looked directly at her. "Antonio knows we're investigating." The blood drained from her face. "How?" "Because 3 of my men were just found dead." Silence. "And there's a message." "What message?" Marco's voice became deadly calm. "It says if I want to see Olivia Bennett alive, I should stop digging." Fear swept through her. Marco's eyes hardened. No, not fear. Rage, pure rage. The kind that made grown men pray. The kind that built criminal empires. The kind that destroyed them. He grabbed his jacket, loaded a pistol, then another. Olivia stared. Marco. He looked at her, and for the first time she saw something completely unguarded in his expression. Something personal, something terrifying. Because it wasn't the look of a mafia boss protecting an employee. It was the look of a man protecting someone he loved. They made a mistake. What do you mean? His jaw clenched. They threatened you. The room suddenly felt colder, much colder. Marco stepped toward the door, Every movement controlled, every movement lethal. 20 years ago, they took your father. His voice dropped lower. Dangerous people always make the same mistake. Olivia's heart pounded. They think they get a second chance. Marco opened the office door, but nobody gets a second chance with me. And as he disappeared into the hallway, the war officially began. The war that would expose every lie, destroy every traitor, and finally reveal the sinister secret that had been hidden for 2 decades. The same secret that had started with a murdered accountant and would end with a king bringing an entire criminal empire to its knees for the woman everyone else had ignored. The end.